policies. Raise your hand if you think President Trump's policies on the economy would be better for your family personally.
For sure. A lot of my friends are obviously my age, so we're a little younger. We've only voted once, for a president. And Trump is kind of all we know. And they're kind of Trump and Biden. They're like, well, we were broke with Biden. We weren't with Trump.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, if you want to keep your finger on the pulse of the community and understand what is going on out here as we approach Election Day, which is just over a month away, all you got to do is get out and talk to real people who are living real lives, and you will understand very quickly the sentiment of what's going on in America. Well, sometimes journalists fall short in that they remain inside. They remain in that journalistic bubble where they talk to people who agree with them 100% of the time, never tell them they're wrong, and they never face opposing opinions. Well, sometimes these same journalists take risks. And we appreciate when they get outside those silos, especially when they work at places like MSNBC or the Crying Negro Network, and they get outside of those doors and they touch people and find out that most people don't even agree with what they're talking about every night on television. Well, y'all, seems like Alex Wagner from MSNBC fame got out from behind the Resolute desk on that MSNBC set, and she went to Saginaw, Michigan. Saginaw Pride! And got to talking to real people, hardworking people who have real issues that they deal with every day. And she was shocked and surprised and stunned, shall I say, to find that a lot of folks don't agree with the sentiments of MSNBC. Girl, all you had to do was go outside. All you had to do was have a real job where you talk to regular people. Go to church where you talk to regular people. Go to school where you talk to regular people. Go to a coffee shop where you can interact with regular people. But y'all don't want to be regular. You want to be advocates for a certain mentality, a certain position, a certain party. Well, y'all check out this video and you will find out that this woman got outside her comfort zone. And y'all know, I've said it many times on this channel before, outside your comfort zone is where the growth happens.
So as much as these undecided voters are unsure about the candidates, however undefined their decision-making process appears to be, you can see what issues are foremost in their minds in this critical swing county. But what is maybe just as interesting is what was not on the minds of those undecided voters. Issues that have received a ton of media attention in this state and in this election. Issues like abortion access and Donald Trump's lawlessness covered exhaustively by the national news media. Those were not the kinds of things these undecided voters were focused on.
Does anybody have any idea about what's happening in the federal courts relating to Donald Trump's the January 6th event and what's going on there with Trump? Wait, I'm sorry to keep going back to you, but so you haven't talked to me about your level of interest in the criminal charges and so forth.
February 6th?
January 6th.
So I remember that day. I know he was the standing president. I'm not familiar with the charges that are being brought against him for that. I'm not following that charge I know there's multiple court cases going on. I'm just not familiar with it.
I mean, that doesn't sound like it's going to be a factor in deciding who to vote for.
No.
Okay, so when I say January 6th, what do you think?
Oh, I just remember seeing it on the news, like all the riots and stuff. Don't really know what it was about or what happened, though.
How did it make you feel when you saw it?
I don't know. I don't really feel any way about it. People showed their emotion, I guess. Probably in the wrong way, but it happened.
Who here has been following the decisions from the Supreme Court? Raise your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing only a handful. Who here knows what the Dobbs decision is? One person. Okay, that's super interesting.
What about abortion? Is that an issue that you think?
I think it's a woman's right.
Yeah.
Nobody should be able to dictate that at all.
And what do you think of Trump's position on abortion?
I think he's anti, isn't he?
Yeah.
He wants to control that.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think he has any business even talking about it.
What about abortion? Reproductive choice. Is that something that you guys think about? Is it something that concerns you?
I think each side is a little too crazy. They need to meet in the middle.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I think they go too much one way and then too much the other way.
So you think Democrats are too open-ended on abortion and Republicans are too restrictive?
Yep.
Okay. What about you? Is it something you think about?
Same as her.
Same as her?
I think there's some middle ground there.
Something you think about?
I don't know.
You don't have to? Well,
I don't really have an opinion on it. I haven't looked into it or even thought about it, really.
it is a stunning reminder that stories the national media covers intensely, stories which certainly matter to a considerable number of Americans in general, that those stories are not necessarily the deciding factors for these elusive undecided voters, especially undecided voters who don't get their news from traditional media and who may not even be particularly interested in current events in general. For those voters, what matters most, what may ultimately determine their vote this year, are the conversations they have within their community. In this case, that means fellow members of their union, of Local 85, and especially those members who have made up their minds and who understand the stakes of the 2024 election.
Y'all, it's so interesting that the left tries to push this January 6th narrative. And they've been pushing it for the last few years. But to see this interaction that Alex Wagner had, it seems like regular folks ain't paying attention to it. You know why? Because January 6th don't pay the bills. And if you're like me and your job is to pay attention to these things, you know that January 6th was a farce from the beginning. You know that Donald Trump requested the National Guard be there and Nancy Pelosi blocked it. You know that the feds were on site and you had FBI agents in the crowd in plain dress who were stirring up stuff. We know that Antifa was even present. We know that the police at the Capitol allowed people to come into the building. We know all of these facts, so we're not falling for it. Your January 6th narrative falls flat. You know what else falls flat? Trump is Hitler. You know why? Because it don't pay the bills. It don't pay the mortgage. It don't pay the rent or the car insurance. Regular people deal with regular issues. And when they see that their grocery bill has doubled over the last year or so, well, January 6th don't move the needle. Trump is Hitler don't move the needle. And they assess this current election and they say, well, what is Kamala going to do for me? And she comes out and tries to address it with a fake economic policy that's just another variation of her word salad. Americans are not trying to hear it.
Who here is voting for the first time? Is this anybody's first election? You guys back here. What's sort of made its way across your radar? Any stories or issues or positions?
Mostly just immigration.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? What about immigration have you been paying attention to?
There are thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants coming across the border every day, and the vice president has done minimal work to fix that based on what I've seen. So I'd like that to change.
Do you feel like Donald Trump's going to be better on that issue?
Based on what we've seen on his first 4 years, I do believe that he will be better on that. Yeah.
Are you leaning towards Trump right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything that Vice President Harris could do at this point to change your mind?
Not particularly, no. Unless she changes her stance completely on fixing the border. That's no.
This is your first election?
Yeah, it is.
And have you been paying attention to stuff?
Some things, but as of right now, it's kind of hard to know what is true and what's false as far as both parties are concerned.
Like, what issue matters to you the most?
Definitely are issues concerning democracy and what was discussed before the border.
What about immigration concerns you?
The influx in illegal immigration is affecting a lot more than just the people, but our economy. We're losing jobs for the people who live here. People are, running out of work, and in return, it's making life as a whole for the country harder.
Do you feel like one candidate or the other is better on that issue?
Like I said, I don't know what to believe from what I'm seeing from multiple news outlets and what comes across my news feed and whatnot. So I'm not super opinionated either way.
How do you think you're going to ultimately decide? I know we talked to one gentleman who said, I think I'm just going to kind of go with my heart on election day.
As the election comes a little closer, I think the more I see and the more truth that ends up coming out, I'll be able to make a more educated.
Y'all, if we are to believe the polls and believe the news stories that we're hearing constantly, we know that this election is going to be decided on a razor-thin margin. So when Alex Wagner says that she's talking to undecided voters, girl, how many voters you think out there are undecided for real, for real? I think people have made up their minds, and it seems that economics and immigration are leading the way in voter sentiment leading into this election. Now, she can try to distract from it all she wants. But we understand what it really is because we're living in the real world, talking to real people, and this might be her first taste of reality. Talking to real voters, real workers, people who live in real America. Well, I'm glad you got out there and got your feet wet amongst the real people. Maybe you can adjust your thinking and adjust your narrative when you report to your audience and let them know what's really going on out here. Maybe you'll change your narrative just a little bit in the last 30 days leading up to this election. Y'all, it is not lost on me that October is right around the corner, just a couple days away, and I personally am anticipating an October surprise. Don't know what it will be, but it doesn't seem like it will be a good thing when you take a toll of all the things that are going on around the world and around this country. Y'all better pray for America. And most of all, you better pray for these undecided voters that God will touch their mind and sway their vote in a certain direction because we need to save this country. And I don't believe MSNBC or Alex Wagner is on that team. Y'all, let me know what you think about this. About regular, everyday Americans like you and I, just opining on what they feel. It's okay to feel how you feel. Your feelings are authentic. Your feelings are genuine, and I accept them as that. Y'all, like the video. Subscribe to the channel and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.